Hello, the monster here. Today I am going to explain the Bear Alpha Iceberg, which is a Roblox game that I really like. And I've been playing since 2019, which ended up being one of these games that became important to me on some sort. And that also became one big part of the Roblox history, having many fans around the game, having a great deal of interest around for its mysteries and gameplay, which has served as inspirations for other big Roblox games. I will also be making this iceberg with one of my friends, Zer0, which will help me make this video and also make an appearance on here. Some people may know him for making the vamp skin for Bear Alpha's 2025 Halloween event. And this iceberg that I'm going to explain will be an iceberg that Zer0 made. So this is the first iceberg that I just don't take from the internet. Anyways, enough talking, let's begin. Bear Alpha. Bear Alpha is a Roblox game made on May 21, 2019 by Cheedaman. The game is a horror survival game where you have to run from a bear and complete puzzles in the rounds that lowers the timer that you have left to survive the bear. In classic mode, only one person can be bear, and when you're bear, you have to kill everyone in the round. And you saw that I said classic mode, right? That's because there's game modes in this game. There's Double Down, where two players can be the bear. There's One Bounce, where all the players are the bear except for one of them. And there's Infection, which is self-explanatory. Bear Star. Bear Star is a Roblox game released on September 20th, 2020. And it's supposed to be the sequel to Bear Alpha. This sequel brings many new features to the game that wasn't present in Bear Alpha. For example, a brand new currency, being the gems, daily quests, survivor skins, and much more. It is also an upgrade to the general aesthetic to the game, with this game having more detailed maps and being more polished, although things never last forever, since Bear Star was slowly dying and having way less players compared to Bear Alpha. So in the first day of 2024, the game was discontinued. Quits. The currency of the game is called Quids, which is one of the ways that people in the United Kingdom refer to pounds. You can get Quids by winning a round or doing a puzzle in the round and completing the hobby in the lobby. With Quids you can purchase skins, kill effects and gears that you can use in the rounds. Bear Wiki. There's an unofficial wiki for the Bear franchise. It has a lot of info about all of the games, and I thank all the people that contributed to the wiki, since this wiki will help me a lot throughout this video. Bear Company. Bear Company is the franchise that first started on May 21, 2019 with the release of Bear Alpha. There's in total 6 games that are in this franchise. There's the main games, which are Bear Alpha and Bear Star, and there's the spin-off games, with them being Bear Beta, Bear Sigma, Bear Star with 40 people, and The Run and Fall of Misto, featuring Bears of Sigma Area 51. All the games in the spin-off area are April Fool's jokes. Bear Merch. There's official merch for the Bear franchise. There's 2 plushes, with them being the Bear and Sam. And there's also the hoodie too, which both Bear and Sam being on it. Cheedaman. Cheedaman is a Roblox developer that has been on the platform since March of 2013. Born on August 3, 2003 in England, he is known for making the Bear franchise. Of course, Bear Alpha wasn't his first game, and he actually made games on Scratch with the username YT999, and that account being from 2012. So he has been doing games for a really long time now. Croton. Grotum Nomium, known as Croton, and formerly known as CZ Puffman123, is Cheedaman's longtime friend and current manager of the Bear franchise. He helped games like Bear Alpha, Bear Star, and Bear Tower Defense, which is a new game that hasn't been released yet in the time I'm making this video. Shop. The shop is where you can buy pretty much everything in the game with the game currency. You can buy skins, kill effects and gears. You can also buy cosmetics with gems in Bear Star, which are only available by completing the daily quests. Maps. There's a bunch of maps in the Bear games, most of them being versions of pre-existing games on Roblox in the early days of its existence. There's maps like Haunted Mansion, which is literally the game Haunted Mansion from John Sudleski. There's Yurik's Resting Place, which is a map that was copied from an old Roblox event game from 2008. But there's also original maps, for example, Lone House, Anemoia, Cheese Factory and more. Fan games. Fan games are an important part of the Bear community, as they rely on people who enjoy the game trying to recreate or improve the base game, adding new content such as new mechanics, improved gameplay, different skins, etc. There are thousands of different Bear fan games on the platform, so it's difficult to comment on all of them, so I recommend searching and giving them a try. They're awesome. Events. Events are limited time updates that adds new skins, kill effects, gears, maps and more to the game that are only going to appear for a limited time before they are taken out. The most popular events are the Halloween events and the Christmas events. Both of them follow their theming. So the Halloween events often have Halloween themed stuff and so on. There's a bunch of events besides the Christmas and Halloween events. There's also the anniversary events, which are events that celebrate the release of the Bear games. The anniversary events often adds a lot of skins to celebrate the birthday, and there's a lot of events besides the one I just mentioned. Badges. Badges are achievements that are given to the player as a reward for doing a special task in the game. The Bear games often have a lot of badges due to the games having a lot of secrets to it. The game is full of mysteries and some badges are really hard to get. Soundtracks. The soundtracks of the Bear games is mostly original with a composer dedicated for making the music, although there's a lot of soundtracks in the game that aren't original too, a lot of them being directly from old Roblox games, Club Penguin and other musics that aren't very popular. Limited skins. Limited skins are skins that are only available for a limited time. Stuff like event skins are also limited skins, since they are only available in the time the event is running. There's also skins that are limited and may appear on the shop occasionally. Skins like Sam, Ito and Atrocity are good examples of that. Admin skins. Admin skins are skins exclusive to the admins of the game. Some of the admins have even exclusive skins to them. Skins like Russo, Gabba, Teleclown and Yin Yang are good examples of that. YouTubers. There's a lot of YouTubers that are dedicated to Bear content. People like TMG Boom, Zhong and Bear Central are Bear YouTubers that are popular to some degree. Sam. Sam is one of the most important characters to the Bear lore and being one of the characters responsible for the creation of the Bears. And later being on Sam's resting place, which can be accessed on a secret invisible path in the hobby that can be found in the lobby. In Bear Alpha, Sam is one of the rare skins to have with, being a limited skin and also costing 90,000 quids. Puffles. Whitey and Lagon are characters that is very important to the lore as well as Sam. And both Whitey and Lagon, before having those designs, they actually used to be Puffles from Club Penguin. Whitey was a white puffle and Lagon was a blue puffle. Those changes were most likely to deassociate the game for Club Penguin or maybe for copyright. Bear Deluxe Update. The Bear Deluxe Update was an update for Bear Alpha that was going to improve Bear Alpha, visual aesthetics, remade skins, kill effects, gears, and a lot of improvements to the game in general. The update started development in 2021 and was supposed to be released on 2022, although this never happened since it was getting too much pressure from the developers, so they decided to split the update in parts. Although it is debatable if the update actually released fully or not, since in the corridor of time, which has all of the major versions of Bear Alpha, it says in the main game and last update that it was before the deluxe update. April Fools. There's events that always happens on the April Fools. Most of the April Fools jokes were games that were just versions of Bear but completely full of memes, other maps and skins. A lot of them reward the player's skins when getting a secret badge on the April Fool's games. For example, Crucifixion and 7 feet high viscosity. Scangens. Scangens is a Roblox racing game that was released on December 2nd, 2023, made by Cheedaman, also known as the creator of the Bear franchise. The game had 10 maps in total, and one of the maps had Bear as a cameo, being one of the obstacles of the map, although the game was sadly discontinued on April 13th of 2024, since the game was slowly declining and having almost no players online playing it. Yes, is a Roblox survival game made on September 22nd, 2015, that was later turned to Bear Alpha prototype on June 1st of 2018. The game was very simple, with only having one map, and Bear in this game was very OP, with even having abilities way before Bear started having it. Scratch. Scratch is a website where you can create games on it, and being very notorious for being a very simple programming language and having bad games on it. And Cheedaman actually did a lot of stuff in Scratch under his account Whitey999, as I've said in tier 1. Zer0 is a Brazilian YouTuber that is very famous in the Brazilian fans of the game. He used to make content on updates of the game, animations, tutorials and a lot of stuff. He used to do a lot of content in the game, but he stopped posting regularly, with the last video on Bear that he posted was 1 year ago. But he still plays Bear since he made a live stream 2 weeks ago in the time I'm making this video. And the live stream was about the Christmas event of 2025 of the game. TMG Boom. TMG Boom is a YouTuber that is very famous in the Bear community. He did a lot of Bear content back in the day. He did videos covering new updates and made the classic series The Bear News, where he talked about a lot of stuff about Bear, although he later stopped making Bear content and started uploading Forsaken content instead. First Anniversary. The first anniversary event happened on May 20th, 2020. It added a brand new map called The Final Hour. It added a new badge called Track 3 that awarded the player with the Vector skin, and added a bunch of new skins to the game. 4-week event. The 4-week event was an event that started on July 20th of 2020. Ever since the event started, the game would have an update every single week when the event was going on. In the first week, the most important thing that was added was a new map called Underwater Woods. In the second week, there is another map called Anemoia, alongside a new secret badge in the game that awarded the player the Ito skin. In the third week, a new map arrived called SOS, that had the badge Looking for Closure, that awarded the player the skin Unwell. And in the last week, all the skins from the Halloween events returned, alongside some other skins. And there's also a new skin that you would get by obtaining a very secret badge that not a lot of people got, and it awarded the player the skin Atrocity, which was a joke referencing another secret skin in the game called Atrocity. 5-week event. The 5-week event was an event that happened on August 2nd of 2024 and ended on September 9th of 2024. This was another week event that happened in the game, and the last one too. It was instead supposed to be 4 weeks, just like the first one, but it ended up being 5 weeks, since the developers needed more time to work on the weeks. Anyways, the first week added a bunch of new skins, gears and kill effects, and also a new map called Captain's Cove. And there was 3 new badges that was the treasure hunt badges, which were badges that could be obtained by finding different treasures in the maps of the game. The first week contained 3 badges of treasure hunt, and each week they would add another 3 of them, except for week 3. When the player collected all of them when the 5th week arrived, they could get the skin Captain Sam. In the second week, it added a new map called Brick Bay Zoo, a map themed around the zoo. This update also had their set of skins, kill effects and gears. In the third week, a new secret badge got added called 37 Miles that awarded the player the skin Bob, a variant of the Bob skin. And there wasn't a new map this time. In the fourth week, there was a new map called the Sunset Plain. This update added 10 new skins to the shop, which is way more compared to the other weeks. And in the last week, the last badges of the treasure hunt got added, alongside another map called Cenotype, a map themed around space. This update added 11 new skins to the shop, including Sam Yes Edition, which was a skin that costed 18,000 quids. Give me the cheese. Give me the cheese is a quote said by the cheese altar, which is one of the puzzles of the game. The origin of the audio came from a 2013 YouTube video called Pumpkin World 2 by Andy Wilson 92. Being a parody of the flash learning game Hungry Pumpkin. It quickly got notorious in the community and became a joke in the community. Here's the original audio in question.
Give me the keys.
Old lobbies. In Bear Alpha, the lobby has since been changed a lot around the years. The first lobby that the game received was this one. It was much simpler than the one we have now. This lobby can still be accessed in the main game since it became an Easter egg. The second lobby was this one. It was way similar than the one we have now, but it was more wide, and since then, the lobby has been mostly the same, thus receiving some tweaks here and there. Bear in real life. Bear in real life is a bunch of old photos and videos taken by Cheedaman and his other friends that show them doing random things with the plushies seen in the game, such as Bear, Sam, the Puffles, etc. There's a lot of them being recorded since a long time ago, and some of them is quite funny and became a big meme over the years. Taylor the Creator. Taylor the Creator is a big rapper being known as a person to use different types of music styles, having big hits heard by many people over the world, having the Bear community and even Cheedaman being fan of his songs. In game, there's a lot of references involving him, like the skin Special Guest being a reference to the Igor album, and having the song Earthquake instrumental as his theme, and Flower Boy being a reference to the album with the same name and having the song 911 instrumental as its theme, although the songs have been taken off because of copyright. Kanye West. Kanye Omari West, better known as Kanye West, is also one big rapper that had an important part in Bear, having his relevance such as in Alpha and in Star, having skin and stuff related to him in-game, like the use of his album photos, like Uses, and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy being used as promo stuff, some of his music being used directly in the game, some shop items having descriptions referencing some of his songs and skins, such as Lil Brother Sam being the dropout bear from the album Graduation, having the song Berry Buns as his old theme, and Kenny Up, a Bob skin, having his face plastered onto it. Even though he had some stuff in the game, most of it had to be removed from it because of the drama involving him, like Kenny Up that had a remake some time ago because of that situation going on with him. Other currencies. Besides quids and gems, there are many other currencies that had came to the game in various updates, with the purpose of you to wasting cosmetics put in the shop, most of them being special events, like Halloween, Christmas, etc. They become a loved part of these events, because it ended up being an alternative, a way to make the updates more enjoyable to play. There are in total of 9 different currencies including quids and gems, used such as in Bear Alpha and Bear Star, being candies for the Bear Star Halloween events, candy canes for the Bear Alpha Christmas events, Samdy canes for the Bear Star Christmas events, eggs for the Bear Star Easter events, tickets for the Bear Star Circles in Town update, studs for the Bear Alpha Retro event and brownies for the April Fool's events. Thomas Racing. Thomas Racing is one of the many Cheedaman joke games, being some sort of a Mario Kart, but with the Thomas the Tank Engine characters, being also a big inspiration for engines. It became an important game for the Bear franchise, for most of the Bob face having its origins in that game, and being part of the quest for the most important and loved skins in the Bear community that I'll be talking about later. Bear Kart. Bear Kart is another of these fan games that Bear had over the years, but having the catch of not being a survival horror game, but a kart game. Having inspirations on Thomas Racing, it's a normal kart game like Mario Kart, but with the skins you can get in Bear Alpha and Bear Star. Bear Tower Defense. Bear Tower Defense is the new official game that Cheats is currently working on the most. Being a tower defense with the maps and monsters, we have been seeing the best games, with different abilities, upgrades, cosmetics, currencies, and much more. Garlic bread. Garlic bread is a food made from a combination of wet flour and water. Called bread and a herbaceous plant from the same families as onions, cultivated in fields and used as a seasoning and medicinal plant called garlic. In-game, garlic bread is one part of the most famous bear fan theories, popularized by the YouTuber Zer0. The theory says that Sam burnt a bear because he put cheese in a garlic bread. That Sam burned him because of that. It became a thing because of Whitey mentioning a dinner with garlic bread, one of the NPCs in the game mentioning the garlic bread and Big Man thing, and then dinner with friends place. That is only Whitey alone in a table without Sam and any garlic bread to it. Bob, Undead Coming Zombie, and Dougal. Finally talking about these three, they are the other species found in Bear Alpha that you are able to buy in the shop. Bob being a dark square blob with legs, Undead Coming Zombie being a Roblox retro type zombie, originated in the old Roblox game Undead Coming, and Dougal being a cartoony type dog, being a reference to the dog found in the RPG game Toontown by Disney. Whitey. As we mentioned before, Whitey is a puffle originated from the game Club Penguin, being one merchandise of white puffle you can get as a pet in the game. You can find him in Shawarma, where he does some questions about his friendship with Sam. He's a big part of the game lore, and it goes around in Spanish by the other bears. His death and resurrection as Red Robin. It's a confusing and controversial part of the lore is precisely because there are still many people theorizing about what all this means, and someday we might have some answers. Lagoon. Also being mentioned before, Lagoon was another puffle Cheedaman had as a plushie, and that's another big part of the game lore, being the big antagonist of the lore, having it centered on him manipulating the player to collect badges around the game, promising great power, but betraying the player to use them for something bigger. It's also a really confusing lore, but it was way more explained later in game with the recent events, and again, we might get more answers with more content the game gets. Nemedic. Nemedic is a character that doesn't really have a big relevance to the game. It first appeared in the final hour map in a secret passage, where you can click on a hidden button to start a dialogue with someone, that in the end says that their name is Nemedic. When players found this, they related this message to a red puffle plush Cheedaman also had, that by some hints that a contributor, Zebu, gave, they discovered that his actual name was Chili. That ended up being a lie, because Cheedaman confirmed that his actual name was Ghost Pepper. Map origins. Lots of maps in the game came from old Roblox games or different medias in the internet. Like mentioned before, we have a Haunted Mansion being a reference to a Haunted Mansion by Shilesky. Yurik's Resting Place being Yuri's Resting Place from the Roblox 2006 Halloween event, Undead Coming 3 being the game Undead Coming, Hospital Nightmare 6 being the horror game Hospital Nightmare 3, Survive the Killer Bear in Area 51 being Survive and Kill the Killers in Area 51, and Sunset Plains being Sunset Plains game from 2006. Banna and Blizzard. Banna and Blizzard are two skins from Bear Star, Banna being a reference to the web show Anna, and Blizzard being a remake from the original Blizzard from Bear Alpha. These two skins were deleted from the quit shop without any explanation for a time, but it was later said by Cheedaman that these two skins were removed because they no longer met the standards the game was aiming for. If you have these skins, you can still play with them, but you cannot buy it in the shop anymore. Copyright. Copyright has been a big problem for Bear for a really long time, mostly because of the song put into it. Many lobby songs, skins, and content for both games were mostly taken from copyrighted media, the most remarkable one being the Whitey and Lagoon design change, because they could have issues with Disney for its discovery. Hoaxes. Hoaxes are the way people try to deceive other people with fake content that supposedly are in the game. This is a thing since a long time ago, and many did so to even become something real in the game, like Fumble, Sucus Mucus, Musical Bear, Green Viking, etc. It became a big part of his history, and it's funny to think that there are still people who fall for that. Club Penguin. As you can see of the other topics, there's a lot of Club Penguin content around Bear, such as cosmetics like Club Bear and the Penguin potions, lobby musics, lore content, and much more can be seen in the game. Connect 4. Connect 4 is a 2-people game where you need to connect 4 discs on a vertical or diagonal angle to be able to win. For some reason it became a thing in both games, having stuff related to it, like in Bear Alpha with the Frosty quest, where you have to tie with a random player so you'll be able to proceed, and in Bear Star that in the chill house you can play with friends to win some quiz. El Sam the Santa Bro. El Sam the Santa Bro, also known as Big Man Ting, is the rarest obtainable skin in Bear Alpha. You can get him by beating Arctic Valley and be lucky enough to pull him with a 1 in 1 million chance. It was later nerfed to be only 1 in a 14 and 25,000, but it doesn't make much of a difference because it's still basically impossible to get. Cancelled events. There's a lot of cancelled events around Bear Alpha and Bear Star, mostly being updates and events, like in Bear Star with the Easter of 2020 and Easter of 2023, the Valentine of 2021 and the Halloween of 2024 event for Bear Alpha. Scrapped content. Like in the last topic, it also had a lot of scrapped content regarding skins, badges, maps and quests. For Bear Alpha there was Grinch, Molten Choco, Frosty the Snowman and Sculpt Bear skins. For badges there are Palace, Mono and those ones that I refuse to read. And as for the maps, there is System Crypt and Hospital Nightmare 6 Remake. As for Bear Star, there is Misery M and Breaker Sam as a part of a cancelled quest skins. Worst behavior, it is written as the badges, and Easter Unknown Wetlands, Chocolate Phobia Yikes, Easter Lab 56 and Pool Rooms Backrooms as map reskins. Gingerbread Bear Song. Gingerbread Bear Song is a composition made by Yacht Bandy Missions 824 on YouTube in December 17th of 2019, being maybe the first ever fan song for Bear Alpha. The song is about Gingerbread Bear, Bear Alpha and Christmas. 6 years later in 2025 for the 2025 Christmas event, Cheedaman himself in a collaboration with Yacht remade the song completely. Roblox Bear Funny Moments. There's a lot of videos like this in the Bear community, mostly being made at the early days of the game. The video mentioned in the iceberg was made by Hawknarf and uses the funny edit type that the old Roblox funny videos YouTubers back in the day used. But I can't help on mentioning the other big ones, like the one made by T. Edgar and J6XKey. Those videos take back to a golden age for Roblox and the game's community, and were a major driving force behind what it is today. Bear Animation. The topic talks about an animation made by Incredible, also known as One Unfunny Man 1, and talks about his friends escaping from Bear. This is one of the famous animation videos from the community, having over 4 million views, and it's a relic of its time. Close-up meme. Big part of the Bear community is about Brazilians, and a big animation from the old time was Close-up meme, made by the already mentioned Zer0, having over 1 million views, and maybe being one of the most famous Bear Brazilian animation meme. The first Bear video. It's a very controversial topic, but there's a search to find what's the oldest Bear Alpha video on the YouTube platform, having the oldest video made by Dreamer the Outlander called My First Roblox Video, and apparently he was playing with a game creator. A real story de Bear Alpha. A Real Studied Bear Alpha, or The Real Bear Alpha Story, is a sequel of videos being the first, one of the most famous and most believed Bear Alpha theories, made by Zer0. The video talked about the game lore using things the game showed us at the time, theories that the community created over time, and what Zer0 believed to be true or false. At the time, some devs and contributors, big part of what he said was actually true, and was referred alongside other updates. Although the game lore has changed a lot since then, most part of it is still believed to be true and maintained the same, ultimately becoming very important for the rest of the community to discover more about the game lore. Scanjins and banana eats. This topic refers to the time where Cheedaman collaborated with the game Banana Eats, and the game he was focusing the most at the time, Scanjins. Banana Eats is a game similar to Bear, where you need to escape from a 3D banana monster, with you having 3 lives. When you come close to the monster, you get hit and lose one of the lives, and you need to do puzzles to reduce the time and escape the map you're in. It was confirmed that Bear was a big inspiration for that game, and with that, these two collaborated to add some stuff in both games. In Scanjins, you had a quest that when you collect 4 red bananas in 4 different maps with a rocket launcher, you get a red banana conductor cosmetic in Scanjins, and a chase banana skin in Banana Eats, where Bear can be seen using the skin. And in Banana Eats, by collecting a little Scanjin around the map and escaping, you get the Scanjins racing in Banana Eats and the banana beacon in Scanjins. This collab came with a lot of cosmetics and promo codes, so much that it may be hard to say, but you can see them in both wikis. But neither way, this collab was over a long time ago, so none of these are obtainable anymore. Bear in Forsaken. Forsaken is an asymmetrical survivor game, referencing old and current Roblox media, where 8 players or less have to survive a round with 1 killer chasing them, with their objectives is to do generators around the map for the time to run out and then win the game, using abilities provided by the game character to mislead the killer. One of the killers planned for the game was Bear. From the very beginning of the game, it was designed to be a killer with distinct abilities and references to the Bear franchise, but when they asked Cheat for a collaboration, it rejected, saying that these type of collabs are pretty difficult to keep standing and continue. So Bear as a killer ended up not becoming true, even though he already had a 3D model made by the Forsaken team. This is kinda unfortunate, since Forsaken became one of the biggest Roblox games at the recent times, and Bear in that game could make people give more attention to the Bear games, and maybe make Cheedaman do more updates to it, making the game alive again. But at the other hand, the Forsaken team have been really controversial regarding Twitch owners, so I don't really know what to think about it. Bear vs Piggy. For a long period of time, 2 distinct Roblox fandoms argued about 2 popular games in their time, being Bear and Piggy. This conflict stems from the fact that the fandoms of these 2 games believed that one game copied the other, and that they ended up becoming popular because of it. Piggy was created by the game developer Minitoon. Piggy is a survival horror game with the granny gameplay style, but with the Peppa Pig characters, where you can choose different maps to escape, doing puzzles, opening doors, and collecting items for you to live. For some reason, the Bear fandom and the Piggy fandom started a fight over who copied who, with the Bear fans saying that Piggy copied the idea of having a time to run out, even though you lose if the timer ends, and with the Piggy fans said that Bear copied the idea of having to escape from a monster chasing you, even though Bear was released first. It ended up being a nothing burger fight, since these 2 games have a really different gameplay style, and the fans were just mad that 2 of these games had their fam for a time. Minitoon confirmed that Piggy was a bit inspired by Bear, and for a time he was considering that they should have a collab, which ended up not happening, sadly. Borrelha. Borrelha is maybe the biggest meme in the Brazilian Bear community, popularized by Zer0. Borrelha is the separation of the word bear with B and ear, where the translation of the word ear becomes orelha. This strange event comes from the Roblox AI translation, who for some reason didn't got some stuff right, like simply calling the game urso, which is bear in Portuguese. I don't know if this became a thing in other countries, but in Brazil it's really popular. Bear star different country icons. This kinda became a lost media, but in the early days of Star, different countries could get different icons depending on how your Roblox translation is. It's uncertain how many and which icons there are for each country, cause it wasn't documented in the game's wiki, but there are some videos that show the loading screen displaying different icons. Even if this really happened, people think it's fake because it hasn't been documented in an informative way. The Funny. The Funny is one of the most mysterious badges that was added to the game. In the middle of the 4-week update, a random badge was uploaded by Cheedaman, being called the Funny but not the Funny, the other Funny, where the only person who had obtained it was Cheedaman himself. At the time, the Funny was believed to be the badge for the Frosty Skin Award. That's because some people used to call him the Funny instead of a Frosty. And since today, it's a mystery of what this badge was supposed to be. Maybe it's just a joke, a placeholder, a cancelled badge? We don't know, and it's very bizarre. Atrocity. We mentioned Atrocity before, but we need to talk about one of the most loved bear skins in the game, Atrocity. In November 10th of 2019, with the Cheese Factory update, a secret quest skin was released, with the badge being called this thing over here, where if you do a sequence of things around the map, you could go to a secret passage, for then win a strange skin called Atrocity. He is a burnt looking bear, with a strange looking face and some limbs missing. But most important, he was one of the rarest, most wanted, and a big part of the bear lore. He is very rare because he was deleted weeks after its release, and never came back since then. And about the lore, it's a bit confusing. There's a lot of theories around him, but it has a connection with Sam and Whitey. I recommend watching some bear story videos for you to have a more understanding. Malbear. Malbear is another big part of the bear history. In March 9th of 2020, a big quest came to the game with a secret skin released too. For the quest, you had to do lots of things in different places so you can unlock him. The most notable one being Thomas Racing, where you had to collect a hammer so you can start the quest, and talk to Lagoon to finish the quest, making this his first appearance in Bear Alpha, and later became very important to the story, along with another skin that I'll talk about later. The skin himself is a junction of different old GIFs and pop-ups from early internet, and in reference to it, it was supposed to be a type of malware virus, which in the game lore, it's very important because it's related to Sam and the rest of the game's characters. The skin ended up being really rare with the shutdown of Thomas Racing, but is highly praised by newer fans of the game for not having managed to get the skin in time. She'd confirmed that one time he may be back, but since then, we had no news about his arrival. Bearlix. Bearlix is another random skin for Bear Alpha. It came in November 19th of 2020 with the Sam update. It is supposed to be a clay type skin, being a reference to the game Hylix, having his appearance, description and theme song being taken from that game. But the skin ended up being removed because of the full use of copyright, first having its theme song removed and then the whole skin taken off. Like Ben and Blizzard, you can still use the skin in the game, but purchasing through the Quit Shop is not possible. Happy Terror. Happy Terror is a map in Bear Alpha that was first released on June 4th of 2020. The map was a town with tons of houses in it, and some other buildings. The reason that this map is on here is because that this map was later removed from the game because of people complaining that their player data were getting erased, and both Happy Terra and Cheese Factory were maps that apparently were causing the issues. But on June 10th of 2023, the map returned alongside the completely remake of the map, Cheese Factory. Cheese Factory is a map in Bear Alpha that was first released on November 10th of 2019. As the name tells, Cheese Factory was a factory specialized at making cheese. This was the map where you could get Atrocity. Although, as I've said in the last topic, this map was removed because of data loss, but it later returned on the 3rd anniversary of the game. Unknown Wetlands. Unknown Wetlands is a map in Bear Star that was first released on April 7th of 2021. This map was similar to Underwater Woods from Bear Alpha, but this map was removed on the Asylum update, released on August 6th of 2022. In that update, the map Green to Asylum got added and was possibly a replacement for Unknown Wetlands, since there were noticeable inspirations and similarities. Ito. Ito is a skin that was first added to the game as a secret badge, released on July 15th of 2020, in the second week of the 4-week event. There was a quest to get the badge. Once you completed the quest, you would encounter with Ito in Anamoya. You could even chat with him, and he would give you the badge How Far is a Light Year, which is the badge that awards you Ito. He is also part of Bear Star, having a different quest but in the same map. You can also get the survivor skin, Zer0, that has a part of the Bear Star lore into it. Bear Archive/Museum. The Bear Archive is a Roblox game that archives almost everything related to the Bear franchise. It shows a lot of skins from the game and also maps, although there isn't too much from Bear Star. But there's another game called the Museum, which is another game that shows a lot of stuff about both Bear Alpha and Star. This is basically an updated version of the Bear Archive. Vector Validation. Vector Validation is a badge that was first released on November 27th of 2020. It awarded the Vector Bear skin in Bear Star. To get the badge, you would have to make a quest on the Museum game. First you had to go down in the spawn and then jump into an image with Rockstar in it that would teleport you to another game that was very weird and just messy. You would have to collect 7 orbs in this game and get to the end of the map. Once you are in Bear Star again, you needed to click on the machine in the chill house and Vector Bear would appear in your inventory. Sadly, this badge is not obtainable anymore since November 30 of 2020. And even if you try to access the game again, you really cannot do that since the museum completely changed map and almost everything in it. Dinner with Friends. Dinner with Friends is a phrase that was found in the subplace This Is Was My Friends. This place could be found in the old lobby Easter egg in a non-collidable wall that had a teleport to another subplace. This place was just a big hallway with 3 paths you could take. All of them take you to another subplace and one of them was This Is Was My Friends. This subplace had Whitey, an image of Sam, a stickman figure and a sign that reads My Friend in a dinner table. This gets to the part of the lore, reinforcing the idea of the garlic bread theory, and that Whitey had a great friendship with Sam. Omen Mal. Omen Mal is a skin in both Bear Alpha and Bear Star, first introduced in a ban screen in Bear Alpha to scare the hackers who ended up explaining in some way. The first time he appeared, he was a red bear with a creepy smile and a glitch effect, shown more in his arms, with the name of Error Bear. Later to be confirmed that Error Bear was supposed to be a bot in Bear Alpha that would kill the survivors and the bears in a round, to be then scrapped due to balancing issues. In Halloween 2020 of Bear Star, if you beat a secret boss fight in Yikes, you could get a remake of the skin, a pet that follows him, particles and a soundtrack. And in the 5th anniversary in Bear Alpha, he became a shop skin, being the most expensive one in the whole game, that comes with voice lines, particles and glitchy effect around him. The Run. The Run is a new type of monster in Bear first introduced to the public in the Run and Fall of Misto featuring Bears of Sigma Area 51 game. He is a black furry ball similar to a puffle, with blue realistic eyes, with 2 legs and a strange shine on his body. He was originally going to be an enemy from the game The Run, made by the Bear developer and Cheedaman longtime friend Misto9786. The game was cancelled and was as a joke. Sid used the creature on his April Fool's games, where in one of them you could get as a skin in Bear Star by collecting the badge block of spam on plates in the game Mega Easy Obby. Red Robin. Red Robin was a strange mystery that surrounded the Bear community for a really long time now. He was first mentioned on an old screenshot took by a hacker that during the Easter event on Bear Alpha, Igantly had entered in the Eurex resting place cavern under the mansion and found the orange whitey catching on fire in a big pedestal with the name Red Robin written on his base. This secret was removed an hour after its discovery, possibly being part of a secret quest for a skin or a more elaborate Easter egg. The screenshot was popularized by the YouTuber Zer0, with the help of other contributors who uncovered the situation, building theories over it, and discovering fun facts about its existence. To then 5 years later, it became an official skin in Bear Alpha in the 5th anniversary event, where doing a certain combination of things in your resting place, you can get in the cavern where Red Robin was first seen and get the secret quest skin with the same name. Egg Hunt 2020. Egg Hunt 2020 was the first and last official collaboration with Bear and Roblox, where in the Egg Hunt of 2020, doing a certain amount of things, you can get the official Roblox item, the Royal Eggs of Bears, or whatever how to say that. Its appearance resembles a purple bear with an egg format, with rockstar bear glasses, devil bear horns, sitting in a red pillow. It became unobtainable when the event ended, and by the time of this video, it didn't came back as a limited item in the catalog sadly. Corner 3D. Corner 3D is a tutorial type YouTuber where he shows how to get random Roblox badges and items. One of these badges he's shown how to get was the Ito and the Frosty ones. That by the time was said that YouTubers was not allowed to show how to get those badges, especially the Frosty one. Sid got furious about this, and that everyone was already getting the 2 skins faster than he was expecting. So for a time, Sid banned Corner 3D from the game, but after a while he reconsidered his decision and ended up unbanning Corner for that, allowing him to still make videos of showing how to get some skins in the game. Bob glitch. In the 3rd week of the 5th week event, a secret Bob skin was released with a secret quest with it, where if you do a certain amount of things in lab, you could get him as a skin, making the first obtainable Bob by badge in Bear Alpha. The glitch mentioned in this topic is one that happens in Haunted Mansion. If you go with the skin and jump in the Witch's Brew cauldron, you get a head bigger than the mansion itself, making this confusing for certain survivors that see this happening. I don't know if this bug is already fixed or if it became a feature for shit to find it funny, but yeah, this exists. Bob face. The Bob face is a very iconic part of the Roblox community, having it to appear on lots of old and current Roblox horror games. The face had originated from a creepy image of a Chinese doll with the creepy face plastered on it, but was really popularized by the creepypasta This Thing I Cannot Read and Gurgles and Bugman. The first one telling the story of a Facebook user that in 2015 would usually send enigmatic message and not safe for work content to minors, and the second one being reports of a man who managed to watch a prank style TV show without the TV being plugged in, starring the characters Gurgles, a tall clown in a suit with completely dark eyes, and Bugman, a short, hunchbacked man who wore prosthetics, making him look like an insect. In the story, the two would seek for a random person, where when that person gets to sleep, Bagman gets to open his mouth to reveal a big syringe-like appendage to drain the victim's blood from their neck while they sleep, finishing the episode with Gurgles looking at the screen before it gets fully dark. Two of these creepypasta use the same image of the doll for a scary feeling, to only the eyes and mouth get used on various Roblox spooky medias like jump scares, monsters and cosmetics. Level 50 test. Level 50 test refers to the idea of having EXP rewards for Bear Star. Since it started, Bear Star had a feature of leveling up with experiences earned in rounds. The idea has to have rewards when you get to certain progressions in the pass. At some point, she'd upgraded this visual and added a great test with an exclamation point on the middle of it. 2 years later it got removed, with also the idea of having rewards for the level pass, making it very useless feature in the game. Old skin designs. Big part of the skins in-game had a sense on its design to make it look appealing, most of them being skins made by the developers of the game, the most noticeable one being Atrocity, who just used to be a normal bear with the face and textures from the creepypasta/ARG Mario, but also taking as a reference for this topic the skins Psycho, Malbear, Vector and his variants, Ito, which just had a fewer details, Krampus, etc. Point of No Return. Point of No Return is a Roblox game created by the Waste Time Studios team, where you, as the protagonist, walk through a city, talking to different NPCs, solving mysteries behind the city, and discovering the game's lore throughout dialogues with these various people. At the beginning of the game, it was originally intended to be a spin-off game of the Bear franchise, more specifically Bear Star, featuring a completely different lore from the base game, but with quests that would reward you something Bear Alpha, namely the David Moore Survivor skin and the Undead Coming prototype skin. Even so, the update that refined the game brought the last skins that would have something to do with Bear Star, namely the Erection Survivor skin and the Mike Bob skin, which is still obtainable, although the quest is quite long. The game has been somewhat dormant for a while now. Even with updates, it doesn't get many daily visits, but it's still undeniable that it's a very good game. It has very detailed and interesting characters, some with a backstory, a beautiful aesthetic with cool textures and visuals, a very cool and intriguing overall lore that's worth solving, etc. This game really deserves a lot of attention and is receiving very little, so I urge you to take a closer look at it. Vector. On May 21st of 2020, on Bear Alpha first anniversary, along with many other new contents in that update, a secret badge called Track 03 was released. This badge was obtained by going to the Lagoon Cave in the Haunted Mansion and following a secret path that leads you to another version of the lagoon, which gives you the badge alongside the Vector skin. Vector is a lore type skin with a dark appearance, red eyes, and dark orbs surrounding him. Since the update, it has become a part of the main lore of the game, especially in the lagoon area, adding more depth into the character who was very ambiguous at the time. But along with the rest of the game's lore and the other characters, it became something very poorly explained in the lore, making it difficult to theorize what it could be, and its participation as an essential character in the game's lore. But still, in a way, it still has an important role for the game, even if it's somewhat vague. ARG. ARG, also known as Alternative Reality Game, is an interactive narrative that blends fiction and reality, involving enigmas, mysteries, and secrets for the community of that particular media to solve. These mysteries are provided with images, audio, or videos, allowing the narrative to be concluded and unveiled throughout the power of dialogue and collective minds. It's a good way to bring the community together to solve what that whole mystery ultimately means. At one point on Bear Star, There was an attempt to create two parts of an ARG involving different Roblox games, subplaces, YouTube videos, and enigmatic messages on Discord. Solving the mysteries would reward Bear Star with certain skins. The skin for part 1 of the ARG was a Doggle skin called Smiley S, and for the second part, the Doggle skin Misery M, and the Sam skin Breaker Sam. Ultimately, only the Smiley S skin was made into the game as an obtainable skin, as part 2 of the ARG was cancelled due to problems with scripters. Even with almost everything completed and partnerships with other games being made, it was cancelled much later, disappointing a large part of the community, since part 1 had already been a success. Atrocity. In the 4-week update, during the 4th week of the update, along with several new and old content being brought back, a new secret patch was discovered, bringing one of the most acclaimed skins to date. Atrocity. As its existence was mentioned before in this iceberg, it was a secret variant skin of Atrocity, with the difference being that it had a cartoonish hairstyle and its colors changed in the walks. It was obtained throughout a very specific, very difficult quest, where in the Undead Kami map, you needed to enter the sewers with a red pirate suit. Go to a specific wall in the location, tie in a Connect 4 game, to then enter a glitched corridor, go to a checker room with white bricks and a TV, where you had to wait 5 minutes for a transparent Atrocity sprite to appear on the wall. When you touched it and had a dialogue with the contributor, Proton, you would receive the badge and along with it, the Atrocity skin. This skin is even more acclaimed than the Atrocity skin, precisely because it was more complicated to obtain and had a shorter lifespan. Rumors said that it was only available for 2 days before being completely deleted, being removed and reinstalled several times due to leaks from the games community. The main leak was Corner's 3D tutorial video, where, as mentioned before, he leaked how to obtain the skin without Cheedaman's permission. This made the skin that was supposed to be in the game longer only available for 2 days, thus becoming one of the rare skins in the game. After Hours. After Hours, arguably the most enigmatic badge in the entire game, was released in the first part of the first Bear Star Christmas event. It features the appearance of Kanye West's album My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, but with a bear printed on it. It was the placeholder for the Santa Sam skin for the second part of the Christmas event. However, since it was still a placeholder, hackers were able to access it, obtaining the badge before the event. With 13 hackers in total getting the badge before the event, it became a banned badge for these exploiters, making the Cheedaman's job easier to ban them. Sometime later, more specifically on January 7th of 2021, it was deleted because the event had already ended, and there was no reason for it to remain, confusing many people unfamiliar with the story as to why this happened. YT999. YT999, as mentioned before, was an old 2012 Cheedaman Scratch account where you created games and made humorous videos featuring characters from the Bear franchise. These videos and games were made before Yes, and were the beginning of the whole franchise idea. The content mainly featured YT and Underpuffles as the main characters in these Cheedaman games, with Bear and Sam making occasional appearances. But the main focus was on YT and Lagoon's Puffles. Much of the content in these games was already introduced to Bear, including Bear himself, Sam, YT Lagoon, and the April Fool's Day skins mentioned earlier, such as Crucifixion and Sam featuring High Viscosity. Anemoia and Backrooms Oranges. Both Anemoia and Backrooms were maps taken from media outside of Roblox. Starting with Backrooms. The Backrooms map was based off a creepypasta with the same name, that tells that if you're not careful and no clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you would end up in the Backrooms, an infinite universe disconnected from Earth. This was kind of the story very resumed, but in 2020 it got really popular, and the backroom story got really big as a consequence. Now talking about Anamoya. So Anamoya has multiple messages around the map, such as "It's just a burning memory," "We don't have many days," "The love of my entire life," etc. Also, the song that plays in the map is "It's just a burning memory" from the album Everywhere at the End of Time, but Slow Down. And those messages that I've talked about were a reference to this album. This album is an album that simulates the 6 progressive stages of Alzheimer's dementia, moving from nostalgia to total cognitive collapse using songs from the early 20s and 30s. Bear Lost Tapes. Bear Lost Tapes was a series of 2 videos created by one of the Bear developers, Manny204553. These 2 videos have a found footage type video, and it's inspired by Kane Pixel's videos, more specifically the Backrooms, where the content shows Haunted Mansion and Anamoya maps from a player's perspective, essentially documenting the location and attempting an escape. The Haunted Mansion video is a short one, and it just shows the player entering through the main entrance, looking around with a flashlight, and then ending the video with almost nothing happening. And the Anamoya video, being the longer one, shows another person's perspective, walking through the location, trying to hide from something lurking there, and simultaneously trying to find a way out. At the end of the video, Ito Bear appears, presumably killing the player as the video screen creates static and ends in silence. Both videos are very well done and not very widely watched, so they are worth checking it out. Unfinished Business. Perhaps the most mysterious Cheedaman game, and looking at it now, I have no idea how is this not in the 6th layer. There aren't many, if any, records of what Unfinished Business was. It was a game discovered after Bear Star's cancellation was announced, so at the time it was speculated that it might have been a game before Bear Tower Defense was planned, but no one proved what it was about, as it wasn't like a secret place for some badge with a placeholder name. It was simply a new place separated from Bear. One thing I remember about it is hearing someone say that this game was supposed to be a combination of all Cheedaman games into one. But again, it's impossible to know if that's true. It's unknown if it is a test place, a cancelled game, or something deeper that we don't know. Nowadays it's private, with only this image remaining on the Cheedaman Roblox page. Free Smiley Faces. Free Smiley Faces was a spin-off / secret quest game for Bear Star, based on telling the story of Jimbo's world. Entering a computer on the Lab 56 map, you would be teleported to a village with a Windows XP team, and playing the song Colored Candles by Tommy Hamas. This small village is ruled by various creatures with the cursed emoji faces from the website www.freesmileyfaces.de. Similar to Point of No Return, these creatures tell their own stories, show their personalities, and reveal their problems when interacted. Solving the problems of these NPCs leads you to a large and difficult quest, with boss fights and secret endings. Completing the game unlocks 2 skins for Bear Star, an Undead Coming zombie skin, Jimbo, a Christmas 2021 skin that has returned, and the Survivor skin, Smiley Dealer, unlocked by completing an alternative version of the quest. 2 interesting facts about this place are that one of the smiley faces on the map is Raw Bear, which became an obtainable skin in Bear Alpha during the 3rd week of the 5-week event, and that one of the quest selections references the Hall of Tortured Souls, an old secret from XL95. Jimbo. Jimbo is an inside joke skin by the devs, being part of a collection of cursed emoji taken from some pack on the internet, making appearances in lots of different parts of the game. In the Christmas of 2021, Jimbo became an Undead Coming zombie skin. You could get this skin by getting the badge after months. You could get the badge by going into a Roblox game called Jimbo Spoon Fighting, made by one of the contributors of the Bear franchise. Anyways, you needed to find 4 different numbers around the lobby. After finding them, you needed to put them in a code panel. After doing that, a portal will open that teleported you to another game called Jim Ball's Temple. Yeah, that's the actual name. Upon entering the game, there was another code panel, but first you needed to pick up a hammer to break a wall in the map. After that, you would find an orb in the map that would give you 3 missions to do. Once done, the orb would give you a code that you could type into the code panel. Lastly, Lagoon would appear and a boss fight starts. But you kill Lagoon in 1 hit, because the boss fight was a joke, and you finally get the badge alongside Jimbo. Although you cannot get this skin anymore since June 4th of 2024. Bear Star Trilogy. Bear Star Trilogy was a series of updates for Bear Star that would include many features. The first update of the trilogy was released on June 11th of 2022 and added the social gears feature to Bear Star, as well as a new map. A new revamped version of Swatch domain for Bear Star was added. The second update of the trilogy was in the second anniversary update for Bear Star that added a new map, monochrome, a bunch of new skins, and a new skin type, the survivor skins. The last update of the trilogy was released on May 5th of 2023 and added a lot of new features that includes Bear abilities, Star Sunday, where every Sunday there would be 25% extra XP and quits per round, with also more stuff. There was a new currency, gems, that you could only obtain by another new feature, the daily missions. There was also a tutorial added for the game, as well as a bunch of new skins. The Alien from Neptune. The Alien from Neptune is a map that was released on the Christmas 2022 event, and this map reveals a lot of stuff from the game's lore. In the map you could find a character that was similar to the Run, but this character was also a skin that was an admin skin at first, although it later became obtainable in the Quality of Life update released on January 23rd of 2026. Monochrome Old Team. Monochrome used to have an old team before, and the song being a slowed down version of a song called Froll Shopee 01 from the album Froll Shopee, which was one of the first releases of the Vaporwave genre, being a very popular album. Bear Plush Origin. The default skin for Bear Alpha comes from an actual stuffed teddy bear owned by Cheedaman. There isn't too much information about this plush, but apparently it was supposed to look like this originally, but they later lost a lot of stuffing as a result of being cleaned by the washing machine by Cheedaman's mother. The players also speculated that this plush might have been manufactured during the late 90s to the early 2000s. Sam Plush Origin. Okay, this plush has more information than the bear plush. So this was a plush called the Vanilla Bear, also known as Fluffy Fun Bear, which was a plushie produced by the company The Bear Factory back in 2010. Stickman. Stickman sometimes appears in random places, for example, the Dinner with Friends place, the Corridor of Time, and this was Arc Ration. Derek. Derek is an admin skin for Bear Alpha. It's a very random skin that Cheedaman added, but Derek also has a low chance of replacing Croton on the Monday, and also has a survivor skin in Bear Star. Sukus Mukus. Sukus Mukus is a skin that was first uploaded on Roblox and posted in the Bear Discord server's art channel on November 25th of 2019, and later spread to be a big hoax in the Bear community. It became so big in the community that in the 3rd anniversary event in Bear Star, Sukus Mukus was actually added as a skin in the game, costing 10,000 quids, being the most expensive skin in the game. Mandem Gift Box. The Mandem Gift Box is a badge in Bear Star that was released alongside the initial release of the game. The badge awarded the player the bear skin Team Derp and the survivor skin with the same name. The badge could only be obtainable by being on a server with Cheedaman, with him awarding you the badge. But the Mandem Gift Box was only opened after 3 years of its existence, specifically on September 20th of 2023.
5th anniversary. This topic refers to the 5th anniversary event from Bear Alpha, which was a little bit controversial in the community since there was a lot of stuff that people didn't enjoy at all. First of all, Omen Mall, also known as Error Bear, got added to the game, costing 100,000 quids in total. And people didn't like this at all, because when the skin first released, it didn't have any voice lines effects or anything special that would differentiate it from other skins. So people got really angry since it wasn't worth the price. Although this was later changed in another update that added a glitch effect to him and also added voice lines. Anyways, talking about another controversial change that was added in this update was the spicy server skins that people hated since they were also very expensive for something that wasn't worth the price. The two expensive skins that were in the spicy servers were Angelic and Encryption, which people didn't like, especially Encryption because it looked like from a Bear roleplay fan game. And those are all the polemical changes and that were added in this update. This was most likely one of the most polemic updates in the Bear franchise in general. Formidable Castle. Formidable Castle was a map made by Grusso that was supposed to be in the Bear Alpha month update in Bear Alpha, which was a series of updates for Bear Alpha that would include a lot of features in it. And Formidable Castle would have been a map that would appear in the Alpha month update, but sadly was replaced by Assembly because of copyright issues. Winter Mutiny. Winter Mutiny, also known as the Christmas 2022 event for Bear Alpha, was an event that released a new game mode, the Juggernaut mode, and also added a new map, Samta's Winter Stronghold, which was the map where the game mode took place. In this game mode, you had to defeat the Juggernaut, which was a player that had way more health than the other ones, with even having very OP attacks. When the Juggernaut was defeated, the player that dealt the last damage to him would be the Juggernaut, and that would be the entire game mode. And the Bear community got enraged because of this, since there hadn't been an event in Bear Alpha for over 3 years at that point, and the event lacked rewards and the content was very lackluster, with people saying that this event was very lazy. Halloween 2024. In Halloween 2024, there was going to have an event for Bear Alpha, although it sadly got scrapped since Cheedaman was sick at the time and couldn't work on it. But despite the event's cancellation, a majority of the content made it to the Halloween 2025 event and, surprisingly, also Christmas 2024. Omen Mall banning screen. As have been mentioned before, Omen Mall was first appeared in a ban screen when the hackers were banned. The screen shows Omen Mall when he was a red glitchy bear with a text that reads, "It is highly against Roblox terms of use to use any form of hacking exploiting software." Bear sound deletion. On March 22nd, 2022, an intriguing incident occurred across Roblox, where all audio from the platform was simply deleted due to copyright laws. Essentially, several games on the platform with audio longer than 6 minutes were removed to avoid the risk of major companies suing Roblox for using their copyrighted audio, music and sound effects. Well, Bear was no different. Several audio tracks were deleted for a period of time, during which the game was completely silent. Eventually, Cheedaman and the developers restored all their deleted audio, replacing and removing audio that could be at risk of being deleted again for Bear Alpha and Bear Star. Unfortunately, the only game that wasn't so lucky was the Bear Deluxe demo, where the audio remains deleted to this day. Unobtainable skins. There are a lot of unobtainable skins in Bear Alpha and Bear Star. It could be a skin that was only obtainable in an event, a dev exclusive, or a limited skin that could appear in the shop for a limited time. There are also skins that were just removed from the shop that people that bought them still have to this day. It could be for many reasons. Data loss. Data loss in computing is the result of an internet problem in your device or a poorly written script within a game that causes you to lose data progress in games or on the operating system. In Bear, this problem occurred frequently throughout its history. The numerous updates and potentially flawed scripts that could cause the loss of your in-game items. The most famous examples are those that occurred in the Cheese Factory and Happy Terror maps, where errors could delete cosmetics you already had. Over time, this has decreased its improvement in programming by the developers, but it's undeniable that it happened and that people lost skins, gears, kill effects, and much more because of it. Green Viking. Green Viking is a skin that appears in both Bear Alpha and Bear Star. In both games, you could get the skin by getting a badge. In Bear Alpha, you had to get the badge, Sharp, where the player must find a green key to open a door in the lobby that could be found in the maps. Once you open the door and enter it, you are teleported to the game The Motive, where you have to press a button, and then the player has to find different balls in a maze and remember the numbers. After that, the player needs to touch a red sphere that will teleport the player back to the hallway where he began and with a code that the player has to type. Doing so will allow the player to face through the wall, revealing Green Viking and the royal egg of the bearers at its end and award the player with the badge and skin. Now in Bear Star, you had to get a badge named Fade to Green, where you had to find 8 random members in different maps in the game. After that, a green portal will open in the lobby where you would go and meet the Green Viking and talk to him, and then go back into the lobby and finally get the badge and the skin, but unfortunately both badges are no longer available and most likely never come back. Lagoon Badges. Lagoon Badges, also known as tokens, are badges that can award you access to certain places, dialogue, or skins. The tokens are also physical objects in Bear Alpha and are an essential part of the game's lore. Vector Boss Fight. The Vector Boss Fight, released on April 26, 2024, is considered one of the final parts of the lore, where you need to collect every single progression token badge. And at the beginning of the boss fight, Lagoon tries to propose a deal to the player. If they offer Lagoon the tokens, he will give the player a castle full of riches and make them a leader alongside him. Accepting the deal will lead to Lagoon taking the player to the place Paradise. Rejecting the deal will lead to Lagoon revealing that he was just manipulating the player into obtaining the tokens for him, and will lead to Lagoon destroying the pit and will lead to the Vector boss fight. The boss fight itself is very hard, having 2 phases, and the Vector will attack it a bunch of different attacks. But once in a while, Vector will give you regeneration orbs. You could heal yourself when you touch them. But after defeating Vector, it will reward the player with the badge The Almighty, alongside the skin Greedy. Bear Star Cancellation. In the start of 2024, Cheedaman decided to discontinue Bear Star, with Cheedaman saying that it became more and more difficult to keep this game moving forward, and that the fun they had for the game just wasn't as much as it was before. And instead of forcing it and continuing the game, they wanted to do something new and wanted to focus on a new project. So basically, Cheedaman just wasn't happy making Bear Star anymore and unfortunately discontinued the game in the start of 2024.
Alright, before going to the last year, I have to correct something that I got wrong, talking about unfinished business. So we actually know what it was used for. Many informed that it was going to be finished versions of unreleased and outdated games that Cheedaman had on the platform before. And that's basically it. I thought it was going to be something more scary, not gonna lie.
Hello, I am Louis, and I am going to be doing Tier 7 for this iceberg. I was asked by D-Master to do this, and I think it's pretty cool. I used to play quite a bit of Bear. I played a lot of Bear Star. I have a lot of memories of Alpha being like stuck in this one particular wall. I'll see if I can get him to like put a picture on the screen. Just before we start, it's worth mentioning that there are some controversial topics that aren't really recommended for young audiences, or if you feel kind of uncomfortable. But with that being said, let's start Tier 7. First up, we got the Discord being hacked. On August 3rd, 2023, an incident that greatly affected the Bear Alpha community happened. On that day, one of the server's Discord moderators, known as Eggs, had his account taken over by a hacker or a group of hackers, aiming to spread a suspicious link to another unknown server, probably to get more hacked accounts and spread some more groups. In Eggs' case, after this happened, most of the server's chats were deleted and the server was empty for a while. It was only much later that the server was gradually returned. Egg's hacked account was banned in order to try and calm the situation, and eventually everything went back to normal. Many people thought this was an attack that would cause the server to be deleted, and that they would have to try and make a new one, thus losing everything they had stored there. But thank God that wasn't the case, and the server is still up today. The reason it was hacked was because Eggs recently got a job and he wasn't super active on Discord anymore, so it became quite vulnerable for the hackers who would break in and cause a bit of chaos. Secondly, we have the Discord server flood. There were several instances of flooding on the Bear Alpha server, but perhaps the most memorable one was done by Brazilians in the server's general chat. When the Bear Alpha 5th anniversary event came around, almost no one was happy about it, and the Brazilians started sending numerous messages in the chats, many of them being attacks and insults in Portuguese, which were directed at Cheedaman and the developers of Bear. After a few hours, the chats had to be closed to calm the situation, with Cheed posting messages in the announcements, but it didn't really stop anyone, because moments later, a call with almost everyone present at the attack suddenly formed, creating one of the largest calls with the most people present at any time in the server. Confusing lore. Since the beginning, Bear and the franchise wasn't super consistent with the lore, as much of what's implemented in-game is either really confusing, unexplained, doesn't have any connection to the main story, really simple, or just changes over time. This caused a lot of anger among people who follow the game, and for people who are new to it, since it's pretty difficult to explain things, which also includes outdated videos now, despite the several secret things, missions, and Easter eggs that seem to have a deeper story, but most of the time they just go unexplained. Cheedaman Exposed. Cheedaman Exposed is a video, probably deleted today, discussing some dirty secrets of Cheedaman and developers and contributors of the game. This video was created by a Bear fan game made by Zer0, known for making Bear Rewritten and Bear the Lost Tapes. Unfortunately, I can't tell you what was in that video or the accusations, because I didn't watch it at the time, but I remember it being mentioned that the whole situation was resolved. This is to be expected, as Bear the Lost Tapes was recently updated and the video discussing it is no longer available, so it's likely everything was resolved for both sides. Earthbound Fan. Earthbound Fan 1009 was a composer that Cheedaman hired to work on the game during the Bear Star era. His role was to create music for maps, skins, lobby themes such as Constellation, Rockstar, St. Patrick's Bear lobby theme, Halloween theme, Luminate Village, etc., and he earned money directly through Cheedaman for his commissions. One day, a suspicious situation was discovered by some community members. Several fan-made OST videos from other games, created years earlier, appeared on YouTube as recommendations, with a strong resemblance to the music Earthbound Fan claimed to be creating. This caught the attention of the community and developers who reported Earthbound Fan was plagiarizing music from other composers without permission or credit. Regarding Earthbound's payment, it was revealed that Cheedaman paid him a total of $335 in Robux for tracks that he had stolen. And in the end, Earthbound Fan got away with the stolen money and some songs had to be removed. But some of them are still in-game with the permission by the original composers. Bear subs closed. Back in the day, there was a system on the Bear Star Discord called submissions. These were an easy way for the community to try their luck creating skins to be included in the game. Many submissions were created since then, making it a relic of the game's history, as it allowed you to observe the progress people were creating using skin over years. After a long time, when Bear Star was still being developed, the submissions were unfortunately closed, with the excuse being that many people were creating skins that didn't meet the quality standards that were in place. This was the majority of the skins posted in the subs, which overshadowed the skins that actually had potential to be included, but ended up going unnoticed. This caused outrage, as people couldn't submit these skins anymore, and contribute to their game, as now it was much more difficult to do than it was before. After a while, some other specific subchats were created for events and more elaborate updates, but the original submissions were never reopened, becoming just an archive of what once everyone had as a dream. Bad moderation. In the past, both the game and the Discord server lacked good moderation. Often, those appointed to moderate failed to perform their duties effectively, banning and kicking people for minor offences. The game wasn't much different, as they just kind of let hackers roam around a lot, which often ruined the player experience. But now, because they've introduced some new measures, like some better moderators, anti-cheat, chat for reporting exploiters, the environment's become a lot more positive for everyone. But some situations still seem to contradict this, but it's undoubtedly better than before. Bad updates. Just like I said earlier, the game had a series of updates that the community didn't really like. It's not like a recent thing either. The game's had a pretty long history of updates lacking significant content, which can lead to the community becoming quite disillusioned, as the game has to rely on adding new features due to it lacking some complex gameplay. Many updates such as Winter Mutiny, the 5th anniversary, and the 4th of July didn't really deliver enough for the community. Nowadays it doesn't happen as much, since Cheedaman no longer focuses on Bear Star, opening the door for some more awesome updates, and which is exactly what's been happening as of recent. Especially with the QOL update, I hope it continues this way. Fan game passes. Throughout the history of Bear Alpha, several fan games and the recreations of the base game were created as a way to make money. Developers create the Game Pass as an alternative to profit from the game, which ended up irritating Cheedaman, since they were profiting from sales from something that just wasn't their own original work. This led to the creation of a rule for fan games that they couldn't have Game Passes to earn Robux or real money, which was thankfully respected, but still angers a few people. Bear Tutorials. This was an old YouTube channel seemingly ran by, well, Bear Tutorials, which discussed various aspects of the game, but generally focused on gameplay tips to improve your performance. At one point, conversations and messages from him were leaked, containing offensive comments directed at certain ethnicities, including high-level racial slurs, such as saying the N-word, and being toxic due to his inflated ego, exploiting Bear Star and doxing many people who spoke negatively about him. This information was somewhat vague, unfortunately, as the case wasn't well documented, with a lot of videos being unavailable due to creator deletions. However, based on this, you can see the guy wasn't, very nice. He ended up leaving the community in YouTube after receiving harassing messages from the game's community and hasn't come back since. Voodoo Bear. Arguably the most famous unused subreddit of Bear Alpha, was created by Walter Slater 2006 on January 13th, 2020. Due to its short history and controversies, it became famous for being mentioned in the Bear Archive. In a secret room, there's an honourable mention that Test Gaming thought had potential. After a while, as a joke by the devs, the skin was marked as pins in the submissions, meaning that the skin could somehow enter the game, only for Cheedaman to remove it later from the pin and say that it was a joke. And the skin would actually become to the game because he didn't like it that much. In addition to the controversy of the skin, it was a pretty big target for criticism as it appeared racist due to its stereotypical religious imagery, with its description of mocking witch doctors. Aside from that, not much happened. Turns out Walter isn't all bad, he was just a bit ignorant in how he portrayed the skin. He's still on the Bear server and surprisingly active in the community. It's also worth noting that after doing a little more in-depth research, it seems that he had another controversy involving the other game devs, but I won't elaborate any further on that since he and the developers have already resolved the whole issue, putting everything behind them. I don't want you to look into it any further, because already mentioned, he's still pretty active and there's no more fighting. Kane. Kane Bear is one of the oldest skins in the game, released in the early days, specifically on August 14th, 2019, created by Matu Picchu, I think that's how you pronounce that, I hope it is. It became very famous for the terrible controversy surrounding the creator, who was banned from the Bear Alpha server very early on, being one of the first contributors to be kicked from their position in server. This is due to leaked screenshots and conversations of a more adult nature involving a minor under 14 years old. His confirmed age at the time is unknown, so it's not easy to say if he was a pedophile or not. Considering how widely the story spread though, it was pretty likely that that was the case, and the skin never received a deluxe version which completely changes original identity. Cheedaman, in a post, advised against developing the subject, so we know little about it. Lastly, we got Idiot.Bear. Idiot.Bear was a skin released for Bear Star in the early days, created by Flamstuff, a former moderator and contributor to the game. It suffered the same fate as the previous one, as it was only publicly revealed that Flamstuff was a confirmed pedophile having conversations with minors. However, unlike the other guy, who I'm not going to bother pronouncing again because I'm going to screw it up, who had some content proving these claims, Flamstuff has almost nothing on the internet that shows his actions. Only a PDF confirming the situation exists, but this was lost over time, and might have been deleted over time. Unlike Kane, who can still be obtained in the shop, the Idiot.Bear skin can no longer be purchased, since of June 23rd, 2023, in an update, Upgrades. The skin was removed from the store, never to return. It can only be played if you have the skin in your inventory. And that is Layer 7. Thank you, D-Master, for letting me read this. It was pretty cool. You have no idea how many times I stumbled some of these words. Like religion. That was I have one recording where it's like religion, and another where I said idiot like that. Yeah. But yeah, it was fun. Thanks a lot, man. See ya.
Phew! It's finally over. This was my longest iceberg video yet, and I'm proud that I finished it. It took me a lot of time to make. 4 months in the works. Almost 5, I think. I want to thank everyone that helped me and participated in the video. I also want to thank the Bear Wiki for a lot of the information I took from there to make this video. And I also want to thank you for watching this video. I always don't say this, but don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to. And I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Have a nice day and goodbye.